kid from Austin and Alley, the one who played the stupid one, Dez.
Oh, the
Can we say?
all right.
What's good? This is Untitled Unscripted with me, Jaden. We talking movies, talking TV, talking music, talking anything I want to talk about. But today we're talking about TV. We're gonna talk about sitcoms, specifically sitcoms in what I like to think of the golden age sitcoms, the 2000s and 2010s.
Mm-hmm.
So today with me is my favorite little, I can't say that. A real good guy, a swell fellow.
Swell fellow.
Introduce yourself, bro.
Hello, I'm Diego. I like to say that it's called Untitled Unscripted. I'm looking at a script right now.
This guy's a great big phony!
All right, so let's get shebanging.
So, like I said, I feel like the golden age of sitcoms is really like
The 2000s.
the 2000s. Yeah, like some of my favorite shows like were started in like '04 and up, like
Okay.
How I Met Your Mother, The Office, Parks and Rec.
Should we go show by show, or should we just just talk as a whole? Well, let's talk about it as a whole first, I guess.
Yeah,
Like,
first,
what
let me
made it
say-
fantastic?
I feel like for a minute, especially when Friends and Seinfeld was on, I feel like everyone was trying to emulate those two shows to a
Right.
certain point. Which, I mean, maybe How I Met Your Mother isn't a good example because it's kind of like a carbon copy of Friends.
Mhm.
But like, I feel like once people got out of that mindset and like the turn of the century, like people started having like fresher ideas. Or
Now-
you go the Office route and just steal something from the Brits, you know?
Right. I think that was probably a good thing that the 90s was so just dominated by those two shows,
Right.
you know, that anything else just seemed like a copy. Even if it wasn't, it
Even
just
if it
seemed that
wasn't,
way.
right.
But there's so much diversity in the 2000s. Like you mentioned, like Parks and Rec, The Office, Community, didn't you
Community
say?
facts.
How I Met Your Mother, Big Bang
Freaking
Theory,
Arrested Development.
Arrested
That was a
Development,
great show.
Trailer Park Boys.
No, facts.
I'm not sure that qualifies as a sitcom. I'm not sure if you'd sit during that one. It was a comedy, but I'm not sure if you'd sit. Let's start with the big one. Let's start with The Office.
The Office.
Because that one, like, mockumentary has been around forever. You know, I remember seeing this video that's like an SNL promo they did for Brian Wilson. And it was like kind of a mockumentary. It was like, oh, it's like these cameras following. It was like Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray as policemen. And it's like they followed into Brian Wilson. So I was like, oh, you're under arrest for this. And it was like mockumentary style, whatever. And they talked to the camera and everything. But like that's the show. For me, it feels like they like put it to such a claim and did it to such a great level that they really made the mockumentary format,
The Office.
which I love.
Yeah.
I adore the mockumentary format.
Facts. Like, if you think of a like, if you talk about if you any show after that had the mockumentary like style, anyone that would be like, oh, they're just copying The Office.
Right.
Type.
And that's how like grand it is. And I think the best thing that it does is that The Office isn't just like a comedy. Like all of these shows does this really well. And it's why all of them we're going to talk about are like classic shows. Is that each and every one of them, like yeah, it's funny, but at the end of the day there's a lesson that's learned and
Right.
you like feel super like heartfelt, you know? Like I remember a year ago I just watched like cutest The Office moments between Jim and Pam. I was blushing hard. I was red. I was like, oh, that's like me and my girl.
Oh
like
my
it was,
God.
but it's like that. It just has so much heart in that, and I think
Right.
that's what The Office does. That's why it stands out to me, other than the other ones, because all of them have heart, but that one has so much heart.
Right. And just like acting from Steve Carell as well. Like I feel like if Steve Carell wasn't attached to that, it wouldn't have gone.
It wouldn't have
to where
gone
it
as far
was.
as like who else auditioned. There's like a few like big names.
Yeah, what's his Bob Odenkirk?
Bob Odenkirk. It wouldn't have been
Um,
like he's too cynical.
Yeah.
Like Steve Carell, any role he plays, like this guy's so lovable.
Right.
You know, and Michael is like such a hateable character. Like as a character, his fatal flaw, as they'd say, like the trait that like drives conflict in each episode, is that he's inherently selfish and he wants
Right.
people to like him, right?
That's- yeah.
And like as a flaw, that's so hard to make likable. You know, it's like, oh, I do things because I want to do them. Like when I was about to say Rainn Wilson's character, Dwight.
Dwight.
When Dwight like gets a concussion, and he's like, "Well, my foot kind of hurts." He makes it
Right.
all about him, and
Not to mention Dwight got a concussion.
a
trying
concussion to help him,
Right.
right? And like that, it's so easy to hate a character like Michael, but he's so lovable, and it's
literally
all
just
Steve Carell. It's Steve
yeah.
Carell,
Anyone else would have just made it a hateable character.
right? It's just
Like-
something about like he looks kind of chipmunky,
Not chipmunky.
right? And also the fact that he somehow, like, just gained 10 pounds of hair from season 1 to season 2. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no, yeah. It was looking a little like receding in the first
Receding. It was like
Thinning.
It looked terrible, but it looked good. And then Jim and Pam are just the greatest like TV romance ever, probably.
season. I don't know. I'm a little debating on that one.
Okay. Well, who else did you put?
I like Barney and Robin from How I Met Your Mother better than Jim and Pam. I feel like they should have been
They
Endgame.
don't end up together.
I know that's the biggest reason why
That's
I feel
the thing.
like Jim and Pam have like that over them. They
Because
should have
Jim
been
and Pam,
Endgame.
like, they feel real. First off,
Mm.
it's like that's how a real romance would start, and the problems they go through. It's like, oh, like we lost a bit of that flair in our relationship. Hella spoiler alerts, by the way.
Oh yeah, just
like
put
this
that
whole
in the beginning,
episode,
just
you know,
spoiler,
it's just
yeah.
spoiler alert.
That should be the name of the show. Spoiler. alert.
Spoiler alert. That's a sick name.
That's
Hey guys, welcome to
actually-
spoiler alert.
Let's redo the intro.
Redo the intro. But like everything feels super real, you know, and she like kind of has this thing going on with the cameraman, and it like
Yeah.
nothing ever happens, but you feel like this is a real thing that like a middle-aged woman would go through, you know, and that's what makes them special. And but the fact that they still have the fairy tale ending, they still have these
Yeah.
iconic moments, like her parents are getting divorced, which is such a real
Right.
issue with a lot of people, you know, and she's like, yeah, I talked to my dad. She's crying to Jim.
Mhm.
I talked to my dad, and I asked him, like, oh, what did Jim say to you? What made you want to divorce my mom? And she's like, oh, and the dad says, oh, like, Jim says when he looks at you, he always knew he saw his wife and the person he's going to spend the rest of his life with. I never felt that with your mom. Which is, like, so hard-hitting, but it's
Right.
like, their relationship is so
Right.
perfect and then how real it is.
I feel like the fact that you only see the relationship at work,
Right.
like you don't even really know what's going on like when they go home because
Mhm.
you just know that it's like
It's beautiful.
yeah.
Right. And every once in a while we'd get a glimpse into how it is outside of work, you know?
Right. Like when he went to Miami type.
Right. When I went to
Yeah.
Miami, the one that came to my head was like, when I was about to say Steve Carell's character. When Michael starts a new company and like picks
Right.
up Pam in the morning, and we just see Jim just like in his boxers, like
Right.
rubbing his eyes, like, all right, love you, see you. And it's like, he didn't have to be awake for that. Like,
Right.
he works later, he could have slept in more, but he wanted to see his wife out because that's the right thing and the Jim thing to do.
Or he wanted to see Steve.
Or
I
maybe
mean,
wanted
Michael.
Michael.
You
Yeah, this is
got
gonna be
me
an
doing
issue.
it.
Yeah, Barney and Robin. I've never seen an episode of How I Met Your Mother.
Oh wow.
So I was a bit when you said let's
Yeah.
let me be the guest on this one.
My thing is like again spoiler like they filmed the
Ending first.
Yeah. So like I feel like that's stupid because like obviously like the chemistry between Barney and Robin like that wouldn't have been predicted. Like if you watch any of the first season episode like I feel like no one would be able to guess that's where it was going. But like it's a show. Like these characters take a life of their own. Like it's like it developed and they're like obviously they didn't see it coming because they wrote like the ending for spoiler Ted and Barney, not Ted and Barney, Ted and Robin to end up together. So like when you see them getting together, like upon rewatch, like it's just so like gut wrenching because you see these characters that, in my opinion, were endgame, and you just know they're never gonna work out because the writers needed Ted and Robin to be together.
So dumb.
Yeah.
As a writer.
Don't. Yeah.
As a writer, I'd never do that. You know, like,
It's just like
you have
back
to be
yourself in a corner.
you have to be open to change.
Yeah.
You have to see where things grow. You know, writing isn't just like a 100-yard sprint. You know, it's like a spider making a web. You know what I mean? So what? It branches out somewhere else that you don't like. Maybe that part's more beautiful than the original, right?
We got some deep stuff going on over here, man.
I don't know. That's part of the reason why I refuse to watch like How I Met Your Mother. At this point, I feel like I
think
have
it's still
to.
worth. I think it's still.
That's
Despite
what-
all of it, it's still worth the watch.
That's what Katie always says. We have a
Yeah.
friend, Katie Birchfield, and she's mad at me
Shout out,
because I refuse to watch 2 shows. One of them is How I Met Your Mother,
what's up?
because of that, because they purposely made the ending terrible
Yeah.
by purposely not changing it, by having a purposeful ending. It's like, dude, be open to change. You know, the only constant in life is change. That's what they say.
But like my favorite thing about watching How I Met Your Mother now, like after like seeing how it end, is like when they knew the show was coming to an end soon, they started like the foreshadowing and like the what's it called? I guess just foreshadowing. Yeah, that they do like watching it, it's like, oh, it's so like obvious that like that's where it was going, but we just couldn't see that.
Right.
But that's again what makes it like such a good show, because like even though some of the writing is like iffy sometimes, like that aspect of it is just so beautifully done.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think the only thing that rivals their like the stuff they have in the background, what would be the word for that? Like
I don't know.
yeah,
but, like,
but just
the-
like attention to detail. I
Attention
guess.
to detail.
The
Okay.
only show that rivals that, in my opinion, is BoJack Horseman.
Dude, what
That's
a
like-
show. Literally goat show.
Facts.
Horse show.
Best show on
technically.
Netflix.
Best show ever, I think. That's my favorite show.
No, yeah, that's.
And that, when did that come out?
2013?
2013?
It ended in 2019. They had 6 seasons.
2013?
Yeah.
That makes sense. Which, if you ever just want to, like, laugh but just feel really bad, you know,
Heavy
it
on the
just...
feeling bad part.
Oh my god, it just makes you feel bad. Like,
I never went from like dying, like literally dying of laughter, to like
Dying,
just
just
dying,
dying,
just
you know?
dying.
like there's the part... Oh my god, in season 1. Spoilers. In season 1, like, you see BoJack, you get this character of a man who's deeply insecure, but also, like, needs everything to be about him and everything, right? And you could tell, from the first bits of it, like, the stuff he does is funny, but as the season progresses, it's like, he's an alcoholic. Like, we know this for a fact, right?
Like, off rip, yeah.
He's trying to steal Mr. Peanut Butter's girlfriend. We know this, you know? And these are bad things that bad people do, right? But he won't admit it to himself. And that's a big play throughout the entire show.
Right.
But it's so perfect. In the penultimate episode, like the last line that he has, he goes to Diane after she produces the book, and he says, "Am I a good person? I need you to tell me I'm a good person." Like, not only does that like encapsulate what the entire like first season was building, you know, it's like, is he good? That's the question that we have to ask ourselves as viewers watching it. Is he a good person? But then him saying like, "I need you to tell me
Right.
I'm a good person."
And
That's
he's
the
like-
answer. He's not. If you're telling someone to, right?
like that.
Like, if you're putting that pressure onto someone else instead of taking responsibility on yourself to be a good person, it means you're not, and that means that's your flaw.
And I
and-
like how they play with the theme, like after that, like acknowledging that you're a bad person doesn't make you any less of a bad person.
Right? That reminds me of, like, I was watching a Bo Burnham thing, right? And it was a podcast he was on, ironically. And he said, like, yeah, I plug my own merch, and I preface it by saying, "Oh, like, here I am, plugging my own merch," and then he does it. Like, just because you acknowledge something doesn't
Right.
make it any better. And yeah, you're right, that's a huge part of BoJack Horseman. But it's so good, it's written unbelievably well.
Yeah, and if like one of my favorite things about that show is like the cameos that they have, and just like the actors
Right.
that they got to like freaking Rami Malek. That would be the last person I would expect to be on that show, or like I'm blanking right now, but like actually blanked right now.
I'm blanking.
No, my favorite line from that show, it comes from Lisa Kudrow, and she was talking like her character was dating BoJack for a while, but she was just in like a 30-year coma.
The
or
owl,
something.
yeah.
The owl, yeah.
Yeah.
And like they both realized that the relationship was coming to an end, like for a while before this conversation happens. And she goes, "I guess the problem of looking through things with rose-tinted glasses is that all the red flags just look like flags." And I was just like,
so
right,
good.
like.
Oh my god, that episode's so good. Dude, you know what's crazy? Alright, a crazy fact. The best episode in season 2 is Escape from LA, right?
Oh, okay.
Where like he doesn't take advantage of a young girl. It doesn't happen, but it almost happens, and he was
Right.
fully committed to do so. That's the big thing of it. But that's not my favorite part of the episode. My favorite part is that she's like learning how to drive, and she's like stops at a house. That's Diego Mendoza's house. Huh? What?
And he looks like
he
me
looks like
too.
me. He looks like me. He literally looks like me. Not now. I have like some scrub, but he looks like me. All right. And like that's so good. And the fact that happens, and it was one episode where she was in, and then they bring her back like 2 or 3
later, yeah.
seasons later, and the fact that they waited so long to even mention her again, it hit so unbelievably hard.
And
You're
then
like,
they
oh my
bring
god,
They bring that whole thing back later too.
yeah,
Like,
and that's
with
kind
the-
of like the ultimate climax. That's what ruins his life.
Right.
Was like his decisions finally came back to bite him, which is good, which is a good thing, but a part of you always roots for him, and that's another point. Like he's so charming, so smart. You can tell that like this is someone that you want to be around because
Right. And I think
they make
again
you
that
feel
can be
fun.
credited to just impeccable acting from Will Arnett.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Like one of the funniest people on this planet, in my opinion. And like again, he was in Arrested Development, and that was a big part of the reason why I started watching that show.
BoJack Horseman. I remember I started watching BoJack Horseman because I saw the poem, The View from Halfway Down. Like I saw a post about it. I'm like, this is
That's my favorite episode.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
I remember seeing
Should we
it.
spoil it?
He's about to die, and it's his last visions before death. That's what the episode is, and it encapsulates the show perfectly.
Literally.
Every single meaningful character, meaningful bit is in it. And I remember seeing a breakdown of it. I'm like, oh my God, like I didn't even remember that, but now that I see it,
Facts.
it's there. And the symbolism is amazing, and the poem's amazing. And like I remember, I started watching BoJack around the same time I started listening to this one song, like "Sweet Dream" in C major.
Alright.
And like, in that song, it's kind of like about these two people at the end of the universe. Like, let's make something for ourselves out of this, even though it's all at the end. And it's this beautiful song, and it reminds me of that episode because it's like, oh, this is the end, and like it's gonna end probably for him. Like that's what you think, like he's gonna die.
Right.
But let's make something beautiful out of it, and it's so fantastic.
Facts. No, I literally thought he was gonna die that whole episode.
Right? What other shows are there? Let's stop beating a dead horse. Woo!
It's a knee slapper for you. You can't see it. I just slapped my knee.
He slapped his knee.
Let's since you said that was like your favorite show, let's give your top 5.
Like 2000s to 2020.
Or just in
like,
general. Mine just so happened to
shows?
be in that.
In
Like
in
no
that
sitcoms.
range.
Sitcoms.
Sitcoms.
Yeah.
Top 5. Number 1 is BoJack.
Facts.
Like, undoubtedly. And I don't know.
Yeah, I'll give you time to think about it. I'll say my top 5.
Oh, say
Right?
top
I
5.
might-
You just want to say it.
Yeah. Okay. BoJack Horseman. How I Met Your Mother.
Is this in order? Or?
Yeah, in order.
Okay.
How I Met Your Mother, Modern Family, The Office, and then Parks and Rec.
Okay. Modern.
Stay over there, bro.
I love Modern Family. I haven't finished Modern Family. I'm like on season 6. But an issue I had with it was that 8 out of 10 episodes, maybe 9 out of 10. Like the reason why there's conflict is miscommunication.
Yeah.
And that's it.
No, literally, like the whole like the whole episode could have been avoided
If they like a phone call solves 8 out of 10 episodes, and that's super annoying. And like it's to me it seems like lazy writing. Like what they do from there, like plot wise and moving and making jokes and fitting them in places, brilliant. The rest of it, I love Mitch and Cam. They're my favorite couple.
Word.
Because they take the like generic straight man and generic gay man, and they split those attributes into 2 different people. Right. So like Cam is this big, burly, strong tomboy. You know, like he knows how to do football players and that. Super high voice, loves fashion.
Super flamboyant.
Right? And Cam is like this, Mitch is like the sort of provider, super calculated, you know, straightforward guy. But he's also like kind of sensitive, you know.
Right.
He's like kind of like meek. And I think writing wise, perfect choice. There's so much you could do with that.
Perfect
it's like,
casting too.
It's like having a gay character and a straight character interact, right? Which in itself has been done a million times. But the fact that it's split that way makes it infinitely more interesting. and I love that part of it. And then like all the other characters are good. I mean, they're good. I mean, I'm
They're
not
not like I would say Claire's my top 3 characters.
Claire.
And that's again just from the performance from Julie Bowen. I feel like
Yeah,
if it was
she's
anyone else, Claire would.
She was
not be my
pregnant in the
favorite.
pilot.
Yeah, that was.
That's and they just hide it really
super well. But like, back to like miscommunications thing. I feel like that is like, it works for the characters, because they don't talk to each other. Like, yeah, their situations could be fixed in like a phone call, but like, what's the likelihood of them actually ever making that phone call?
But realistically,
because they're all scheming and they're all like going behind each other's backs and like they're all doing the same things, and that's what's making like the conflict happen.
They're all like, let me solve this myself.
Exactly.
Instead of remembering that, I could just think call. But then again, how often do you just call your cousins? And
especially if you see them every freaking day. I just saved myself from cursing. You're welcome, producer.
Editor, whoever's gonna edit.
Facts.
So that was 4 for you.
That was 3.
What was the? Say it again.
BoJack, How I Met Your Mother, Modern Family, The Office, Parks and Rec.
I like you have That 90s Show, Fuller House.
No. That's talking about reboots. That's a whole different.
We're gonna talk about that a little later.
Yeah.
My top 5 has got to be BoJack, The Office. Probably, I'm not sure if this counts, but I like fell in love with it recently. What We Do in the Shadows.
I feel like that counts, cause that's just in the same category as like. I feel like that's like Always Sunny.
Oh, Always Sunny.
Yeah.
Probably Always Sunny. What We Do in the Shadows. I'm only on season 3 of Always Sunny. Already, I'm obsessed with it. It's brilliant. My friend Eitan, like when I write, I tend to get myself in trouble. And I was talking to Eitan. I was reading through scripts with him. He was like a really smart, great, talented guy, and he was like, you could do what Always Sunny does. I'm like, I cannot do blackface. And he's like, no, if you do what Always Sunny does by, like, and addressing there's an issue, right? You could say this like joke that's a little racy, a little out there, but as long as you have a character address that it's wrong and continually make a point that it's wrong, and that's how they get away with it, you know? Like, there's an episode where Mac becomes like pro-life.
Oh yeah.
Right. and Dee in that episode is the voice of reason. She's like, oh, like, no, because this, and the other thing, right? And it's all logical, and she sticks by that point. And even, like, the most famous bit they probably have is, like, the implication. Super funny. It's like, oh, they're not going to do it because the implication. And having Mac be like, I'm not comfortable with this. That saves them. And I think it's brilliant that way. So they're number 3. Number 4 is What We Do in the Shadows. 5. Oh! No, number 5 is, 30 Rock.
Oh, okay. Like, what's the vibe for that show? What's good with that?
It's some of the densest writing. You know,
Okay.
like, people say, like, a laugh a minute is what you should aim for. And most of the shows are a laugh a minute.
Yeah.
That's a laugh, like, 5. Like, in 30 seconds, like, 3 really well-written, like, jokes will be just bop, 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 you know? And it's incredible. It really is. And, like, a lot of them are like, oh, that's funny, but I won't laugh at it. But then, like, once every, like, 2 minutes is one of those, like, oh, that was so funny. Like, that you laugh out loud. And I just respect it writing wise. For me, it's exhausting to watch. Because I'm like, oh, okay, that's another good one, you know? And I've been watching, I'm trying to write, like, a pilot for a thing. And so, like, I've been rewatching the first episode. I've seen it, like, 3 times already, like, this past week. Yeah, because I'm trying to get the structure down.
Right.
It's like all of these shows are like a 4 structure thing, you know? It's like cold open, and then it's like introduction to the issue, what the issue is, resolution.
Right.
And sometimes there's like introduction to the issue, solving the issue, counter issue, resolution, you know? So I've just been doing my homework with that show specifically. Because I'm like, if there's anything that's like, I'd want to aspire to writing something similar to, it would be that, you know?
Word. I would say mine is probably Arrested Development. I mean, that's not on my list, but like, I mean, that's for other reasons. But like, the first 3 seasons.
It's because Tobias.
The first 2 seasons of that show is just like
gold.
Yeah, like I feel like that should be a pilot you should watch, because first of all, the pilot was directed by the Russo brothers, in case you already know that. So that's a good.
That's a good one.
Yeah. And then the writing is just like, the writing of that show is crazy. Like the running gags is probably like the most that I've seen in a show.
Right.
Like, and they're just like, they're smart. but not like
Mhm.
what's the word?
Like I see the compilations that like Tobias is gay.
Yeah,
I
that's
see
my
those.
favorite. Yeah.
Oh, I always watch it because that's just funny and it's done so well.
There's a running the first season, right? So again, spoilers. I don't know if you care about spoilers for that show.
At this point, it's like just talk, just say it.
Like so the dad goes to jail because he's for some light treason, which they bring up a lot, light treason, because he built homes in Iraq, and that was during like the whole like Iraq war. And
that's brilliant.
so they don't reveal that until like midway through the season. But like before that point, there's like hints are dropping. Like the main character Michael, his son George Michael, which is a crazy ass name, you know George Michael, right?
Yeah, from yeah.
And from Wham, that was it.
Yeah. And I'm never gonna dance again. Guilty feet have got
so
no rhythm.
he has a crush on his teacher, right? And she's a
and it's Michael Cera, right?
Yeah, it's Michael Cera. Yeah,
it's great.
And she's an ethics teacher, and he said she loves Saddam Hussein, and that was a joke. Like, oh, I don't think she loves Saddam Hussein. Like, he's interesting or whatever. So he makes like a poster that's like Valentine's Day esque, like hearts and stuff, and just all Saddam Hussein. And then like Michael, like the dad, starts dating the teacher, and like he acts like he comes in possession of the poster, and he sees Saddam Hussein in the house, and he goes, "That looks exactly like our living room," like implying that like it's the same house because they're living in the house that his dad made. And it's stuff like that throughout the entire season until like they say, "Yeah, I built a house for Saddam Hussein." And I just think stuff like that, where it's like rewatching it and you see all the like the little stuff.
The tidbits.
Yeah.
You had a note about a running gag in BoJack Horseman.
Yeah, I forgot to bring that up. I was gonna ask you, what was your favorite running gag in BoJack Horseman?
Oh my god. Probably the fact that like only BoJack recognizes that Mr. Man is 3 kids in a trench coat.
Vincent Daltman.
Vincent Daltman. So funny.
Facts.
Because like, can I get you a drink? You are a child. It's just so obvious. Oh my god.
And it's just like little stuff like she said I can have a soda with dinner, like, or
it's that's so funny. There's stuff like that where like there's endless jokes you can make, you know, and all of them are so dumb. What was yours? What did you ever?
My favorite running gag is Diane's ringtones.
Oh
like,
yeah. Oh, that's
and
good.
then I have
the dumb alliterations.
Yeah. And then my favorite is
killer.
Hi, I'm Sarah Koenig. This is one ringtone told over the course of several rings, and the story it's telling is to answer your phone. And then she never answers her phone.
She never answers it
until
it ends. Oh my god, that's so good. It's so good. Oh, I thought of another one, but it eludes me. It escapes my grasp in my old age.
I feel like anything would. Erica probably is a good one. Like every time I see Erica, she's like, "Erica, what are you doing in here? There's kids around."
There's kids around. I will not leave you at this party unless somehow I see my friend Erica who lives in Minnesota. You know. But the odds of that happening, Erica. Oh, and the Mr. Peanut Butter one, I can't even think of one. You know.
What is it? A
like
crossover?
No, it's like it's like are you da 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 because I.
Oh yeah, just fill in the blank.
That's so good.
Like,
the crossover episode one is great because
yeah.
it finally climaxes with like, oh, this is the old set. I guess we could finally do that. My best Will Arnett voice. I guess we could finally do that. That crossover episode you always wanted. Huh? He's crying, tears rolling down, and it's so cute. Mackenzie's favorite joke in the show was when they build the because I saw the whole thing again with her because I want her to watch it.
Mackenzie's girlfriend, by the
My
way.
girlfriend.
Shout out Mackenzie.
Right. I'm about to be like, not gonna make that joke. I was gonna make a joke, not gonna make it. But remember when Todd made the sex robot?
Yeah.
For his girlfriend, and then it like became sentient.
Right. And
But it was just
became the
catchphrases,
CEO.
right? And he becomes the CEO, and then she wouldn't stop laughing about it for like 5 minutes. I had to pause the episode. She has like one of those kind of laughs, and like Todd was like, "All right, but you better hurry because boss said he was literally gonna like do me in the butt if I didn't do it, which is like kind of a funny joke. It's pretty funny, but she would not stop laughing.
I thought you were gonna say like when he finally gets like fired, when like
Oh, for like sexual
yeah
misconduct.
when there was the one time he wasn't saying something sexual, like insufficient power, and he was talking to a female.
Huh?
Like
Oh, or the episode when like when Diane starts carrying a gun, and so they do gun control just
That's
because
a
they
good one.
don't
That's Thoughts and
want
Prayers.
women.
That's one of my like probably top 10 episodes.
So good. Oh, it's so smart because like yeah. Oh, the soundtrack to the underwater episode. Like I have that on my phone. Remember, it's like underwater. He doesn't speak the entire episode to the end, and it's just like it's so like electronic and it's like funky and it fits so well.
I didn't know they released that.
I have it on my phone. I'm about to play it.
Word. That's the intro. That's the intro to the show.
It's just like it's called Seaport. Make that the intro to the show. I'm not sure if legally you're allowed to. But play like 7 seconds or whatever the legal limit is of Seaport right now. That's good stuff, right? Yeah, that's good. Right. Let's go back to these other shows. What do you like better, Office or Parks and Rec?
Well, I have the Office higher up, so The Office. But I feel like that's just because I feel like The Office got like in its footing easier. Like everyone says like don't even bother watching like the first 2.5 seasons of like Parks and Rec.
Right.
Yeah, like that's what a lot of people are like. I know like say that because it's like it's a slow start and it's like they've like it takes them a while to like to find themselves.
They find themselves. Yeah. I
Wait.
think for me, people say the first season of The Office is really like off. Like you shouldn't like it's the worst season. It's still a pretty good season. A weird parallel to me is that when Michael leaves, that's when The Office slowly starts dying.
Yeah, that's when they should have
It's
stopped
like,
the show when he left.
They probably should have stopped the show. They still had like 5 more seasons, right? But
like
they were
2.
like, if seasons 1 to whenever he's there are like 100 out of 100 seasons, the other ones are like 85.
Right. Yeah.
Which is like it's not. It's like pretty compared to everything else on TV.
But
pretty
compared
good.
to it's
What it was, you know. And then like the last season was like whatever. It has a great last episode. One of the like great last episodes of anything because it's a fairy tale ending.
Right.
You know, it's like Michael's happy, he has his family, like he comes to everything he wanted. Jim and Pam, they finally decide to like pursue his dream, you know.
Right.
Which F Pam for not letting him do it. How selfish. I feel lonely. Oh, you're so much more talented than I am. You get to provide for our family, but I'm an artist and I still have to work here. Like, you know what I mean? And like Daryl made millions, right? Let Jim.
Facts.
And then like,
which, I mean, she did end up doing, but too late.
What's his name? At the wedding, Dwight and Angela, like they get married, and then Stanley has his last moment with
Phyllis.
Yeah. And like it's a beautiful ending.
And even Andy had a nice little ending.
I think the Parks and Rec is kind of the opposite. Like it kind of takes a while to get going, you know. But the last season is just useless. Like if it was like at its peak, 10 out of 10, which I don't think it was. I think it was like 95 out of 100. You know?
Yeah, ish.
It wasn't as good as
The
Office. It was still fantastic television. Right. Like seasons 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 are probably like that 65 moving up kind of range.
Ish. I feel like season 1 is worse than season 2. But
and then it gets better and then it reaches this climax. Like, all right, this is a good show, great show. And then the last season is just bad to me.
Yeah,
it's
they
had
7 seasons. I feel like it peaked season 5-ish. Like, I think that's when they lost like 2 cast members, like Rashida Jones and Rob Lowe left.
Which are like, Rashida Jones was essential.
Right. Yeah.
And Rob Lowe, like he was a late introduction, but he's like, he has some iconic episodes, you know.
No, facts. He was an iconic character. Like
that
was
like, literally, like that. You know, yeah, right. You can say that if you're like, Rob Lowe and what was his name again?
Chris Traeger.
Chris Traeger. That's an iconic name.
Right.
You know?
You said Ann Perkins.
Ann Perkins. Chris Traeger, Ann Perkins. For me, The Office has much more heart.
I get that. If anything, I feel like Parks and Rec is more like what's the word? Their humor is different. Like The Office had very like dryish humor, but Parks and Rec was like, we're just gonna be goofy, silly. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we're just gonna have.
Yeah.
We're just gonna have what's her name?
Leslie.
Amy Poehler do whatever. Do Amy Poehler, and you know it's gonna be good content because it's Amy Poehler.
Because Amy Poehler. Yeah.
But I feel
that's
like
another like. All right, I'm gonna compare two shows.
Okay.
A thing that like bugs me about New Girl
Okay.
was that Zoe, like, I've only seen the first season.
Okay.
I refuse to watch it anymore because I can't stand
Get
Zoe.
past
I can't get past
Really?
Zoe Deschanel's character.
I get that. No, I get
Her,
that.
and I've been told that it gets better, that she becomes less of the show, but the fact that it's still New Girl, it's about her, it just bugs me. You know.
It very much becomes an ensemble by like season 4.
Season 5 to get to season 4? Are you joking? I thought by season like 2.5 I'll be
No,
all right.
like I mean, yeah, they're setting the groundwork. Like they're doing more character development for like the boys, and like they do more like Cece's in it more, and like there's a whole like will they won't they with like Cece and Schmidt, yeah, and then like it's not until Coach comes back
that it's an ensemble.
Like, yeah, that was the peak for them, like because it really was like I've seen a lot of people compare it to Friends.
Listen, my issue is that her character, her fatal flaw is she's too nice.
Okay.
What is that? Right?
She's quirky.
I hate it. I hate it. The fact that like, and some of it's just common sense things. Like, oh, do not invite my father. I'm asking you this as a friend. She's like, everyone should be close with their parents.
Yeah.
Are you joking? Are you kidding me right now? That's a terrible, like, because at the end of the day, she cannot accept that she's wrong in that case. Like, as a writer, you can't be like, that's not the, you have to have it work out for the, like, main character at the end, right? Every time Michael in the office, like, makes a conflict, like, it gets resolved by him realizing he was in the wrong.
Right.
In that, she's not in the wrong. Because the moral that they want to do is that, oh, everyone should get along with their family. Because they have to make it so that she's right. Because at the end of the day, when that's the conflict that happens, it's not like, oh, I was wrong to invite him, let me apologize. That's not the conclusion of the episode. The conclusion of the episode is
told you so.
Oh, look, you guys got along. I told you so. And it just makes her so unlikable to me. The fact that that's her fatal flaw. I can't get by it.
I didn't realize that until you just said it, honestly.
But it's every single
It's
episode.
persistent.
Every single episode. Like, and that's how I was going to compare it to Leslie Knope. Like, that's part of her fatal flaw. She's a super caring person.
Yeah.
Right? It's very similar. But also, the main thing is she's also selfish, kind of like Michael Scott. She doesn't, she's not trusting. That's the thing. Like, she does everything. Right? And when she wants to help someone out, really, she wants to do it for them. And, like, have them take the credit. It's like, oh, I did this thing for you. It's like, no, you're being selfish. You're not trusting them to do it themselves. And that's a big thing you see with her and Audrey Plaza's character.
Oh, okay.
Right? It's like, because Audrey Plaza's character, what's her name?
April.
April is like, I'll do whatever, blah, blah. It's like, no, I want you to be this person. You can't want her to be that person, you know? You want her to be that person for you, Leslie. But she has to want to be that person for herself.
They kind of validate that, though, in the end, though. Like, because she turns into that person.
She does, but out of her own volition.
Yeah.
Like, Leslie's character works because although she was pushing it on her, they never allowed her to be the one to just do it for her, right? Everything that Audrey did, she did for herself. Which is, like, good character development and good writing.
Right.
But for Jess, oh my God, I can't stand it. I can't stand it. I can't. I really can't.
So, you think you're going to finish New Girl?
No. I don't know. Mackenzie wants me to. Katie Birch wants to. Katie,
like
if you mention it to Katie, she's like, it's so dumb. He won't watch it. And that's what she says.
I don't know. You're not going to get an argument out of me. Because personally, it took me a while to finish it. And then they do like a time jump from season 6 to season 7. Which I hate when shows do that.
Right. They did that in Dragon Ball Z.
They did it in Parks and Rec, too.
Yeah. That's what made the last season terrible.
Yeah.
Time jump. And it's like Ron and Leslie hate each other now.
Right.
Oh,
like, we knew that, like, you know that's not going to go, like, you know it's going to
Right.
get resolved. Like, what's the point in doing that?
What's
and
the
then
point
it
in
turns
doing
out to be Ron got his feelings hurt, and that was why.
And literally, that's so against Ron's character.
Right. Like, so, like.
It's cute. Sure.
But it's not Ron's.
I love that Ron named his son John. Ron and John Swanson.
Ron and John Swanson.
And I know that John's son is gonna be Don. Ron, John, and Don Swanson. Oh, I love, like, have you seen Binging with Babish?
No,
It's like a this guy who cooks on YouTube.
Okay.
But their Parks and Recs episodes are so good. They did one about when Ron got the turf and turf, which is like two steaks, you know?
Two steaks, yeah.
And like they cooked it. The guy Babish cooked it. We're at 40. Might as well make this an hour. You know?
Facts. Okay.
We're leading there. Like they did turf and turf, and it was the most delicious looking steak. He like butter basted it. It was like with basil, like flaky salt on it. I finally applied for a credit card. I got approved, and I always told Mackenzie because I did through my sister, so I got $100 free.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take you out for a steak dinner when it comes in, and so I'm looking forward to that. I'm still looking forward to that. Okay.
Where are you going?
I don't know. Like we're gonna say maybe Wolfgang's in Somerville, which is by where I live.
Shout out Manville.
Shout out Manville. Woo! All right, what are we gonna talk about?
You want to talk about reboots? How do you feel about reboots?
I hate them.
Word?
They're unoriginal.
That's facts, yeah.
What's the new one with that 70s show?
That 90s show.
There was that 80s show. And that didn't
and that had Mac from not Mac, what's his name? From Always Sunny. Dennis, yeah. He was like the main character in it.
Yeah.
Like it had nothing to do with any of the That 70s Show characters.
It's so dumb. That 80s show. It's lazy, first off.
Facts.
And sequels like almost always fail, especially in TV shows, because TV shows, in movies you can do a sequel because there's a lot left of the story to find out. Right. So much you could put into an hour and a half, 2 hours of a movie. But TV shows, you live with these characters for years, right? Like that 70s show was how many seasons? It was like 5, 6.
Yeah, upwards of 5.
5 seasons. That's 5 years that the general public has like live with them. Right. Or if you like binged it on Netflix when it was on. Like that was probably like a month of your time, and you're like, oh, I saw them grow though.
Right.
You see them grow, and you're like, I feel complete. That's what a TV show should make you feel, complete at the end. It's like, oh, I lived life with them, and now I'm happy to let them go. And bringing them back for what?
Right.
What does it do?
Especially like, I feel like my biggest example is like an old one. Like they did a spinoff of Friends, like with just Joey, but had none of the creative team from Friends. So everyone was just like, this is not Joey. This is just Matt LeBlanc playing a character who happens to be named Joey. Yeah.
It's so dumb. Like, I don't get, like, where's the creative integrity in that, you know? What other ones do you have here?
I had How I Met Your Father on there because I'm actually, like, messing with that one a little bit.
That's what I've heard.
Because I like when they don't just use the name. Like, they take like certain elements from the original show, like how I Met Your Mother is like cutaway heavy, you know what I mean, like stuff like that, like gag like that, and then like the whole narration thing, and then like they're setting up a. Do you know about the Yellow Umbrella yet? Did you watch like how far
into
How I Met Your Mother?
None of it. I told you.
Oh right, you said you didn't start it. Yeah. So they had this thing where it's like in season 2, Ted goes to a club and he leaves his phone there, right? And then he goes back the next morning to look for it, and then he couldn't find it. So he leaves the club, and it starts raining. So he just picks up the first umbrella that he sees, because someone else left it there, so it's his now. So he takes it, and he's like, and that was your mother's umbrella. And then, like, that's, like, the thing throughout the, like, stuff, like, little stuff like that, like, connections to, like, the mom, that it's, like, running throughout the whole season. So How I Met Your Father is kind of doing that now. Like, she had this painting that she sold, but she ended up buying it back because the guy was like a raging like misogynist, and she puts it on a cab, which I don't know why. Like she put it on the trunk of a cab, and she's talking to her friend, and then the cab dries off because you're not in the freaking cab, so he's gonna leave.
Right.
And they're like, and he's like says that, and the son is like, but wait, mom, after you lost your painting, how is it right there behind you? And you're just like, I'll get to that. So it's like little
those
stuff
are
like
that.
Those
are nice. Those are fun.
But it's like they're also like Kobe Smulders on an episode of How I Met Your Father, and then they just had Neil Patrick Harris on, and like he was in like a little cameo, but like they're saying he's gonna come back.
Right.
So it's like I like when they do that, but it's like, could you have done like this, but not? How do I say this? Could you have done like a similar premise and just not had made it a spinoff of How I Met Your Mother? Which like, of that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I remember, like, I saw a thing that says, I'm not sure what I saw. It was probably like a YouTube video essay or something. And it was talking about sequels, and it says, only do a sequel if it has to be made.
Right.
Right? And they used the example of Rocky, which Rocky is one of my favorite movies ever. Like, every time I see Rocky, I cry.
Okay.
It's one of those things. And they said Rocky 2 had to be made because we don't know if Rocky really won. Like, it says that, like, Apollo won, but everyone doubts it. Right? And we don't know, like, okay, Rocky's just getting all this money. What's he going to do with it? There's all these questions that have to be answered. And a good TV show will end with every question answered.
Right. So there's no need.
Right? So it's just kind of whack. That's why you have seasons. Seasons are basically sequels of the first.
Right, exactly. That's why it's like, if you're going to do a spin-off, like, I feel like you can't take, like, a main character, like they did Joey.
Mm.
Like, or, they're insinuating that the main character of How I Met Your Father is Barney's child.
Right.
So it's like, that I see, like, I guess-ish. But it's like Fuller House. I had that on my list, too.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how I feel about that one.
It's useless.
Yeah, like...
I love John Stamos.
Not to be, like, too harsh, but, like, who cares?
Right?
Like,
Exactly.
Who
Who cares?
Not
like.
And they had, like, 5 seasons.
Did they?
Yeah.
I saw.
Like
I think I
4 or
saw
5,
one episode on it.
Which is, like, that's insane for Netflix, because Netflix usually cancels, like,
after
2 or 3.
two, yeah. Dude, that's crazy.
Like, I don't know who was asking for it, but,
Mm.
I mean, my problem with Fuller House was that, like, you know Full House, right? Like,
Yeah.
how it starts, like...
Do I know Full House? Who are you talking
like,
to?
the kids, like, the girl's mom died, so his brother-in-law, or was it brothers? Brother-in-law, right?
It is brother-in-law.
And then his best friend moved in. And the same thing happens with, not Michelle, what was her name? DJ. Like,
Mhm.
the father of her kids happens to die, and her best friend and sister move in. Like, I just feel like that's too on the nose. Like,
Is it the Olsen twins?
the Olsen twins are in it.
So it's just like random woman.
It's just like, no, it's like all the original people, like DJ, Stephanie?
Oh, the middle child?
Yeah, and then, they have Kimmy come in.
I don't know.
Like, I feel like that was unnecessary. And then you have, like, oh, we already said that 90s show.
They're just bad. There's just no need for them. I mean, a spin-off, the only good spin-off I can think of off my top of my head is Better Call Saul. It's
I
not
was
a
gonna
sitcom.
say that, yeah.
Not a sitcom.
But I feel like, again, like, that was a good, like, premise because, like...
Because there's so
it
much
was
we
a
didn't
prequel,
know.
if
Yeah.
anything, yeah. So it's, like, filling in those gaps that...
Because
like,
Saul kind of just, like, came into Breaking Bad and we're like, this is a person now. But he has so much character. Bob
Right.
Odenkirk is just a fantastic actor.
Exactly, yeah.
You know? And you're like, I kind of, like, this guy himself is super interesting. And then making the show off of him makes sense.
Right.
You know?
Take notes, sitcoms.
Sitcom writers, take notes. Or don't. What do we know?
But I was going to bring up, there's a Hulu original called Reboot. That is, like, the premise is that they're rebooting a fictional show from the 90s. So they're bringing back all these people that haven't been in contact with each other since the 90s to reboot the show.
Oh, so it's about the production of the show?
Yeah.
That's fun.
And it's like, first of all, it's the creators of Modern Family.
Oh, that's good.
And then you have Keegan-Michael Key.
Oh, he's good.
Right. And then, you know, Judy Greer. She was in, like, Archer, Ant-Man.
No. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like the wife.
The wife,
was
yeah.
Cassie's mom. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's freaking hilarious, too. And then, for some reason, Johnny Knoxville, like, from Jackass.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, the kid from Austin and Alley, the one who played the stupid one.
The guy from Austin and Alley, yes.
The guy from Austin and Alley.
I've recognized who you just said. All right, there's something cut before what I just said.
Yeah, the dude from Austin and
The
Alley.
dude from Austin and Alley.
The ditzy one.
The ditzy one.
And they have these
Can you
kind of
say ditzy?
typecast. He's kind of typecast as that. Like, he's the same.
Right.
But, like, that was, like, a rare, like, original idea that is executed well.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, I haven't seen from a sitcom in a minute.
I'm trying to think of like what are top sitcoms now.
You can't even. Everyone's just
Probably-
watching old ones.
What We Do in the Shadows. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen like bits and pieces. I never watched.
Really good. I first 2 seasons fantastic. Like I love them. Third season still like really good. This last season though, it's been weird. I'm not sure if they got a new writer or something, but they're starting to do that thing that sitcoms do. I forget they call it like the Joey effect or something, where they make one character stupid and they really like they really.
That's what I like to call it.
What is it?
Flanders.
Oh, the
like
Flanders. Yeah, I know.
Flanderization.
Where they just like typecast them.
Yeah.
And that's what they started doing in this
Like,
last one. But only with Nadja. If you watch it, you audience and you Jaden, like
That's my
Nadja
homework.
is like she's intelligent, witty. She's kind of the voice of reason in the group in seasons 1 to 3. Seasons 4, she's just loud. She's just loud and annoying.
It's like Kevin in The Office. Like at one point, he's just stupid.
He's just dumb.
Yeah, and like they kind of do that with Haley from Modern Family. Like at one
Yeah.
point, like her only storylines was like, "Who am I dating right now?" I feel like we had a conversation about that before. Like that was what she was reduced to. Like
Yeah.
my significant other at the time,
Mhm.
and that was kind of a joke. Like, oh, she dates around a lot, and like
Yeah. Which, I mean, I get it. I get running out of ideas, but
Yeah.
also season 4 running out of ideas. Like that's, and it's a fantastic show because it's a mockumentary, which already you could do so much with.
right.
But it's also anything supernatural goes. Like they had a werewolf episode, they had like a ghoul episode, like ghosts. I think they had a zombie one.
Making a good case right now.
Like you
I'm
could,
gonna go and watch it.
you could like anything supernatural can happen in that show. And
It's still on.
and so that's a good way to keep it like fresh and original. And your characters should be able to just react differently to each of these scenarios, you know, by keeping the original personalities. You don't have to typecast them.
Right.
That means they're just getting lazy, which
Facts.
they kind of did in the 4th season. You know, they just became all about the club that they owned, and Baby Colin Robinson, which Baby Colin Robinson is a good like secondary plot in any episode.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
But the club that they own, they kind of just I don't know. I'm a bit
Is the show
upset.
still
by it.
on?
It's still on. They're coming out of season 5.
Okay, that's valid.
Watch it. I hope they improve on it because it's starting to get more heartfelt. Right? You'll see. Like the last episode that has been released. Do you care if I spoil it? Okay. You love spoilers.
I
isn't
know,
it?
yeah, I love spoilers.
It's like Laszlo raises like baby Colin Robinson, you know, which is like their friend who's been reincarnated in a weird way. And he raises him, and then eventually one day he's an adult, and he gains all his old memories back, right? And it's like, wow, like that. It's like, oh, you're back, and he's like, I never left. Like I just fell asleep one day and I woke up and now I'm here, right? Let me do my taxes. You know? He's just like this boring character, and so he's like helping renovate the house that they have, and he sees all the old baby stuff, and Laszlo's like, oh, what do you want to do with your old crib? He's like, it's not my crib. That's trash. Throw it out. And like for Laszlo, it's like I raised you. This past year has been me like raising you from a baby to where you are now. Which like raising a child is such a deeply emotional
Right.
thing. And the end of that episode, the end of the season, is just him. It's just him, like looking at the crib, and he like touches it a bit, and then he goes on the piano and he starts like singing a song. He's like, where did my little boy go? You know, and it's super touching, super heartfelt, and that's what. It's probably the best part of any sitcom is like the heartfelt moments because
Right.
that's what makes it.
Exactly.
You know.
I was sitting here trying to think of other sitcoms that are even on the air right
You know what? The next good one is gonna be Invisible String.
now. Quick little plug.
Quick little plug. Check out our other stuff. I think this is where we wrap up the episode.
Yeah.
I think we've
I was
exhausted
trying
it.
to think of things to leave you with. I'll leave you with watch BoJack Horseman.
Yeah.
F spin-offs / reboots.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say F?
You can say the like you just said it. Yes.
That's all we got for you. Thanks for listening, / watching. Peace.
Peace. Bye.